The sound that ended a wedding was not the sound of a drum. It was not the sound of clapping hands or joyful voices. It was the sound of a man's laughter. Sharp, cruel, careless. Adaeze, the bride, had gone to the hotel that night, just 2 days before the wedding. She wanted to surprise her groom with a gift. But as she walked past the suite, she heard his voice. Obinna. The man she thought loved her. The man she had trusted. And she heard him say, "Can you believe I'm marrying her? With those scars. If not for her money, I would never even look at that face." The room erupted with laughter. His friends joined in, clapping him on the back, mocking her as if she were a joke. Adaeze froze. The box in her hand dropped to the floor. Her heart burned. The fire that had scarred her skin all those years ago could not compare to this fire that scorched her soul. She did not cry. She did not burst into the room. She simply turned, walked back to her father's mansion, and closed her door. That night, she called her lawyer. She sat down with him in silence for a long time before she spoke. And when she finally opened her mouth, her voice was steady. She gave him instructions. She rewrote her will. Every line was shaped by the pain of betrayal and the strength of survival. The lawyer looked at her with wide eyes. "Are you sure?" he asked. Adaeze nodded. "Yes. If Obinna cannot honor my scars, then let my scars become my crown." 2 days later, the wedding came. The whole town gathered. Women wore their best wrappers, men wore shining agbadas. Cameras flashed. Drums rolled. Obinna stood at the altar, smiling proudly, already tasting the life of luxury that lay ahead. Then Adaeze entered. But she did not come in the grand diamond-studded gown everyone expected. She wore a simple dress. Her veil was thin. Her scars were visible. She walked slowly, the whole hall watching, whispering. Obinna stretched out his hand to her, pretending to be the loving husband. But she did not take it. Instead, she faced him and said in a clear voice that silenced the entire hall, "I heard you, Obinna. I heard you mocking my scars. I heard you say you are marrying me only for money." Gasps filled the church. Obinna's smile melted. He stammered, "No, my love, it's not true." But his friends' guilty faces betrayed him. The truth was clear. Adaeze turned to the guest. "There will be no wedding today. But there will be a reading of my will." The lawyer stepped forward, opened the document, and began to read. His voice rang through the silence. Adaeze had given her billions to survivors of burns and accidents, to widows abandoned by their husbands, to orphans on the street, to children with no chance of school. Every line of the will carried her scars and her heart. And then came the sentence that fell like thunder. "No man who mocks my scars will ever touch my wealth. My scars are not shame. They are proof that I lived. Only those who know pain will share in my blessings." The hall was silent. Then whispers spread. Women nodded. Men lowered their eyes. Some began to clap softly. Obinna collapsed in shame. His dreams of riches turned to dust. His friends could not look at him. The proud groom had become the fool of the town. Adaeze lifted her veil fully and showed her face without fear. "These scars are my story. And no man can take my story away from me." She turned and walked out. The days after the broken wedding were heavy in the town. People could not stop talking. Everywhere you went, Adaeze's name was on their lips. Some spoke with admiration, some with regret, some with mockery, because that is how a community is. In the marketplace, 2 women selling palm oil argued. One said, "That girl is proud. She should have forgiven him and continued the wedding. Men will always talk, is it new?" The other shook her head. "No, you don't understand. Those scars are her life. If a man can mock her survivor, how can he respect her in marriage? Would you give your daughter to such a man? Nearby, a group of young men carried crates of drinks and laughed. One said, Obinna thought he was climbing a tall palm tree, but instead he climbed a thorn bush. Another added, let him chew his shame. He wanted money, not love. Even children sang it as a rhyme while playing with stones. Adaeze, Adaeze, scars on her face. She gave her wealth to the poor and left the groom in disgrace. The story spread like fire, faster than gossip about kings, faster than news of war. Obinna stayed inside his family's compound. He could not step out. His father refused to speak to him. His mother cried day and night. Sometimes neighbors would pass by their gate and shout insults. Greedy man. Gold digger. Who? He plugged his ears, but the words sank into his bones. One night, his younger brother entered his room. Obinna, you have destroyed us. Father cannot walk in the market without shame. Everyone points at us. Obinna buried his face in his hands. I only wanted comfort. I only wanted to escape poverty. Is that a crime? His brother sighed. Yes, when you build your escape on another person's pain. While Obinna drowned in shame, Adaeze began to rise higher. She did not stay locked in her father's mansion. She went out, she visited hospitals, she visited villages. She found women who covered their faces with wrappers, hiding scars from burns, from acid, from abuse. She lifted their faces gently and told them, my sister, do not hide. Look at me. I too have scars, but I stand before kings. Your life is not over. Some wept when she spoke to them. Some held her hand and said, you are the first to look at us with kindness. She built a center where burn survivors could gather. Doctors treated them for free. Counselors listened to their stories. There was food, clothing, laughter. In the evenings, they would sit in circles and sing songs of survival. The poor began to call her Eneni Ndinwonye, mother of the scarred. Her father watched her with pride. One night, he told her, my daughter, that man thought your scars were your weakness. But you have turned them into your strength. I will die a happy man, knowing you are not only rich in money, but rich in spirit. Adaeze smiled. Papa, it was your voice that taught me. You told me scars mean survival. Years rolled by. But time, like a river, carried all things. One hot afternoon, in another village far from the city, Adaeze was opening a new hospital. She wore a simple lace dress, her head tied with a scarf. Crowds gathered to see her, to clap, to praise. And as she walked among the people, her eyes caught a figure sitting under a mango tree. It was Obinna. At first, she did not recognize him. His cheeks were sunken, his clothes faded, his sandals torn. He looked like a shadow of the man who once stood proudly at her side. When their eyes met, he quickly looked down, ashamed. Adaeze walked toward him. The crowd watched, whispering. She stopped before him. Obinna, she said softly. He struggled to speak. His lips trembled. Adaeze. I did not come to beg for money. I only came to beg for forgiveness. For a long time she was silent. The air was heavy. The people nearby leaned closer to hear. Finally she spoke. Obinna, the night you mocked me, I thought my world was ending. But now I see it was beginning. Because of your words, I chose a new path. Because of your betrayal, I found my true purpose. For that, I do not hate you. I forgave you long ago. Obinna raised his head, tears in his eyes. Then, why does my heart still burn with shame? Adaeze sighed. Because forgiveness is a gift I can give you, but peace is a gift you must give yourself. I cannot return to walk with you, Obinna. You mocked my scars, and now you carry scars in your spirit. May they teach you wisdom. She turned and walked back to the crowd. The people murmured, some pitying Obinna, some praising Adaeze. Obinna wept openly under the mango tree. From that day, the story spread further. Adaeze became a legend in her own lifetime. Everywhere she went, people welcomed her with songs. Poor women tied wrappers around their waists and danced when she entered their villages. Children ran to touch her hands. Old men blessed her with prayers. And Obinna? He wandered from place to place. Some said he went mad. Others said he became a farmer in a remote land. But no one ever again saw him rise to wealth. His name became a warning. Parents told their sons, do not be like Obinna. Do not mock what you do not understand. Do not chase riches and forget love. Adaeze lived long. She never remarried, but she was never alone. The children she raised surrounded her. Widows and orphans visited her often. When she died, the whole land shook with grief. Thousands came to bury her. Drums were beaten, songs were sung, people wept and clapped their hands. And even after death, her will continued to walk. Schools carried her name. Hospitals bore her memory. Orphans who grew into leaders told their children, without Adaeze, I would not be here. The elders sealed her story in a proverb. Wealth without wisdom is ashes, but scars with wisdom are gold. And so, the tale of Adaeze is told until this very day. A woman who turned pain into power, and shame into a crown.